Okay, my friends, how are you today? Aaron Michael Eschenberg here, bringing you your daily horoscope and full moon horoscope astrology update for the 19th of April 2019. We got a big day here. Let's go right into the chart. We got so much to talk about. I want you to see what's going on, all right? So here we go. Moon, 29 degrees of Libra. Sun, 29 degrees of Aries. We have Uranus at 2 degrees of Taurus here, okay? So we see these two red lines both making this opposition to the moon. Now, if we follow this dotted green line, this is a quincunx. We talked about this last week if you've been watching these dailies. This is 5/12, okay? Quincunx is 5/12 apart. This is a very annoying aspect in the zodiac. And what's even more interesting here is, this is between Venus in Pisces. Venus is exalted in Pisces, and then it's the moon in Libra, okay? The moon in Libra. So that's Venus's home. So it's like the emotional moon is home. The emotional moon is in Venus's home sign of Libra, okay? Now the moon itself, home, is down in Cancer. So this is already a square to this cardinal sign, okay? Because, sometimes, let's say our emotional moon, self, wants to be selfish. Well, that's not the name of this game, okay? This is a great compromise. The best compromise is when both parties walk away unsatisfied, okay? This is a fact. So much going on. So, not saying that we're going to walk away from this day unsatisfied, but this is an interesting aspect that Venus is making to the moon, which is an unsettling of relationship stuff, okay? So relationships, let's get right into this. The moon opposite the sun in Aries Libra, okay? This is 100% about relationships. So the sun has been in Aries, which has to do with self. And it's the initiation. This is the beginning of the zodiac, the beginning of the year, this is the first 30 days of the zodiac calendar year, the beginning of the calendar. This is the start of spring moving forward. The initiation into my new life that I've been creating here for the past few months, as a lot has been changing, and we're diving into creating a new life for ourselves, right? That's what this huge sextile between Pluto and Neptune and Saturn and Neptune, and both of these conjunct the South Node right now, letting go, let be. Big energy, big energy, big energy. And relationships, man, I can't express enough. I can't express enough on how much this has to do with relationships. Now, yesterday I was showing you the square here. Okay, this cardinal cross. Now, although we don't see these squares, these are still all squaring each other, okay? What's also unique is although the moon is 29 degrees Libra, it's making an opposition here to Uranus in Taurus, okay? So, for the past 7-8 years, Uranus has been in Aries, okay? Now, it moved out for a small chunk, couple months last year, for a very small chunk of time, but the sun had already gone through Aries at that point in time. So what I mean is, this is the first time that we've had the sun go through Aries in 7 or 8 years, where Uranus hasn't been there to meet with this self-breakthrough, okay? So every year when the sun moves through Aries, every spring, Uranus has been there. Uranus is the great awakener. This is the lightning bolt, the lightning striking, the earthquake, the typhoon. This is the unexpected moments of life that you can't expect them. They're unpredictable, This is the force that will not, nothing can stop this. A force to be reckoned with, and nothing can stop this. That's Uranus. So we've had, this very self-breakthroughs over the past 8 years, excuse me. Every spring. Now this is happening again, where before it was like, yeah, but me first, but me, okay? Because Uranus was over there it was, so the weight, okay, Uranus and the sun outweighed the Libra moon, okay? So I couldn't care as much about you as I needed to care as much about me. Now that can sound harsh, that can sound selfish. I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's like I've got to put myself first in a healthy way before I can go do the other things. Because if you're putting yourself first and I'm putting you first and you're putting yourself first and I'm putting you before me and you're putting yourself before me, well, when do I get to me? So again, that's not a selfish thing. There's a balance. There's a balance in this. And that's partially what this moon is also representing right now, this particular balance at the 29th degree. Okay, so this has to do with like overinflated ego, overconfidence. Okay, so if you've been following along the dailies, we've been talking about this maybe a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. We talked about the difference between knowing and understanding. Right? The knowledge, like the knowledge of E equals mc squared, right? Einstein's theory of relativity doesn't mean you understand what Einstein's theory of relativity is. Now, further, we deepen this to this aspect of you and I to a degree of wisdom, okay? Now, Libra is an air sign. This is about intelligence. It is a cardinal sign, okay? The strongest mind, okay? The most open to loving, to giving, and to receiving. All right, where I can say the Gemini and Aquarius, in general, are less emotional. Okay, for the air signs, Libra is probably the more emotional air sign of all of them. So we're dealing with not being so egotistical, not being, again, that overly confident, the what is it called, the Dunning-Kruger effect, this confident ignorance. Okay, like, yeah, I got that, no problem. I can do this. I can run 10,000 miles. I can do anything. And we can say these things to like build ourselves up, this inflated sense of ego. Okay, that's the sun in Aries, this inflated sense of ego. So we're building ourselves up. We can, talk this big game, but now we're coming down to it here. It's like the truth and authenticity. This is the North Node down here. This is the square of the nodes down here in Cancer. It's like, can you back this up? Are you really, are you presenting these words on a plate to me and these fantastic things that I should marvel over? Are you going to actually do that, though? Or are you just presenting fancy words on a plate, So it's like, do we have this opportunity? No, we do have this opportunity to humble ourselves down a bit, to eat some humble pie, speak and communicate through heart and home. Now, there lies another aspect of this, is 3 degrees. Let me jump back to the chart here. Look at this. Oh, well, it's 8 a.m. We don't see it at 8 a.m. But let's move a couple hours ahead here. Okay. Now, still, look, here we are at noon, 1 o'clock. Mercury and Chiron are sharing the same space in the sky. All right, so Mercury has been in its shadow for weeks now. Finally moved out of Pisces into Aries just the other day. Okay, and now it's conjuncting with Chiron in Aries, which is again about self. We talked about this yesterday, the day before. It's like healing the wounds of our crazy, like healing our own internal rabbit or a gerbil's wheel. That's this ongoing. I don't think I can. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. Okay, so can you see all of these things tying in here? That's why I'm like stuttering right now. There's like over on one side we have I'm not good enough. And I need to talk myself up. I need to inflate my ego, in a positive, confident way that says, no, I am good enough. I'm great enough. I know enough to deliver this astrology message, or whatever it is, that's going on in your life. So it's like, I am enough. But then we inflate this so much that it's just like, okay, we start to float away with our own balloon of BS, but it's not BS. Because it's truth. There's truth behind this. So no, this is real. This is authentic. I am a good person. I am good enough. There's, we can go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And that's why the moon opposite Uranus, okay, moon opposite Uranus is going to lead us to kind of almost irrational thinking. And the moon and the sun is sort of making a conjunction, but it's not. Let's go back and look at this again real quick. So again, for 7 years, Uranus here has been through here. Self-breakthrough, self-breakthrough, self-breakthrough. So every year, the sun has come around, moving a little bit each time. So now these two are still technically making a conjunction, okay? And this is still, like we see these two red lines making this opposition. But the difference between this year and the past 8 years is Uranus is not in Aries anymore. We're not making just self-breakthroughs, okay? Chiron is there in Aries dealing with these, healing these wounds of, am I good enough? All of this kind of stuff. Where Uranus is now moved ahead into the area of traditions, okay? So this is a very, very unique full moon. A very unique full moon that's also squaring the nodes, that's also squaring Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. Okay, I don't want this to be a 20-minute long, it might be, but that's so much going on right there. As it's saying, like, change the traditions, change your values, change the ideas, change your mindset of who you are. It's like you don't have to be the same person you were when you started this video. I don't know if I've said something that's going to magically change your life in the past couple of minutes here. The point of astrology is to kind of help give us those like kind of pushes in these moments of awakening, but we don't have to go back to the same things that we were. We don't have to go back to the same routines, the same habits. We don't have to go back to the same way that we were just thinking 5 minutes ago. Okay, we don't have to go back to that I'm not good enough, that the relationship that ended a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, that I'm a less of a person because this person didn't love me. It's just like, no, this needed to end back then so I could find me now, have these self-realizations over the years, find me, find my strengths, find my own weaknesses. And that's yet another aspect of this. Let me show you this last one. Okay, 24 degrees here, still squaring. Jupiter is still squaring, okay, Venus in Pisces. So it's like, although there's all of these like positive, extremely positive things, there's a lot going on, a lot of energy going on that's like this nagging kind of energy. And then it's like, again, know your own limits, know your own limits, know your strengths, know where you need to grow more, where you need to seek someone else to grow. Like I see a lot of things right now that's going around. It's like, if you're seeking, to gain muscle mass, to go to a gym, to get a physical trainer, like it's a very common thing and it's not awkward or strange. But yet when people are having like mental issues or breakdowns that it's embarrassing to seek like professional help. It's like, no, this is beautiful. This is absolutely why it's there. We go to school and we learn all of these things and then we just stop learning. Unless we actively seek this stuff out. Again, Sun in Aries, this is us actively seeking things out. Maybe this is traditionally what happened when two people broke up, or when the boss disappointed the employer, or the employee, and the employee wants to leave, or vice versa, or whatever's going on in the relationships that are happening in our lives, the falling apart of relationships that are happening, which they are, and the coming together with other relationships. So it's like in breaking the tradition of the idea of, oh, okay, well this happened and this equals this. It's like, well, not necessarily, like you might look at that as a negative, but it might be really a positive that's going to lead to 6 more positives. And it's just your mindset and perception that's making this appear to be a negative. Okay? Am I covering this all? Let me go back to the chart one last time. I'm going to break this all down. Okay, Moon. Well, this is too far ahead. We're talking about, boom, okay, 29 degrees, 29 degrees. This is about wisdom. This is about understanding. Wisdom and understanding, not just knowledge. Okay, there it is. I knew there was something else I needed to come back to the chart for. Not just about knowledge. It's not just about understanding, but it's about wisdom as well. And in relationships, when dealing with others, we need to learn on when to use that knowledge and understanding wisely, okay? So there's a beautiful book by a guy named Dale Carnegie. It's been a bestseller for a very long time. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Never been a big fan of the name of the book. However, I find the contents of the book very, very intriguing. And in this book, Dale Carnegie talks about specifically two people having a conversation and one person being wrong, confidently being wrong, confident ignorance, like we talked about earlier in this video. Okay, there was a confident ignorance. Now, he wasn't doing this to gloat, or this person just did not know the honest truth of whatever it was he was talking about, and around a dinner party. So the person that knew the answer said, "Oh, no, it's this," and it kind of, you've been there, you've done this, where somebody says something wrong and you jump in and you're like, "Oh, actually it's this." And it went from like laughs and giggles or just like, a conversation to, well, now it's a right or wrong. Now we're opening up Google to seeing what's the fact here. And it's just like, okay, you might have had the knowledge, you might have had the understanding, but not wise enough to just allow and let be. To just let the conversation be, to let somebody be wrong, Do you have to be right? You are right. You were right. Do you have to let them know that you were right? Is that making sense? I think so. I think that's like the best way to button this whole thing up, though, is it's like when we use this knowledge, when we use this understanding, when we use our words to communicate, and are we building others up with these words, or are we tearing them down with these words? Are we holding back some things for the sake of just allowing something to be? Do we have to correct everyone all of the time? That's just kind of like this Virgo thing that we just kind of went through. It's very precise, a very right and a wrong kind of a thing. It's like, well, now this is Libra. This is justice. This is balance. So if you're the one out there pointing out everyone's mistakes because you're wise and you can, well, karmically, and that's Saturn making this square, it's going to come back around. And there's, so there's a wise way to handle these things. There's a wise way to go about saying these things. And maybe it's a private, It's like, actually, blah, 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 nugget of truth. You're like, oh, well, thanks. Good to know now. All right. That's our Friday. Let's look at it one more time. Wisdom here, understanding others, compassionately being able to communicate from a healed heart. All right, coming from a place of healing, from a place of wisdom. Then we have this annoying aspect to Venus right now and her home sign. Like, hey man, you got to treat me with compassion. Don't give me this "I'm the greatest person in the world" routine. Don't tell me it. Show me it. Prove it to me. With your intuition, with your authenticity, this North Node stuff here. I don't care about this ego, big business concept that you're doing back here. I don't care about what car you drive or what you're wearing, who you're wearing. I want the goods. I want the real. I want the real you, man. So this full moon's bringing out the real. Have a real, amazing full moon Friday. We'll see you tomorrow.